Today we're going to talk about solving systems whenever we're given a word problem. So I've given you your steps. The first step is you have to define your variables. If you look at the question, that is what your variables will be. Okay, so whatever the question is asking, that's how you know your variables. Then you will set up two equations. So you will use the information given in the problem to make these two equations. Then you will solve the system using the method of your choice. So let's look at this first example. Marcy bought a total of 20 used books and CDs during a yard sale for a total of $54.50. If books cost $1.50 each and CDs cost $5 each, how many of each did she buy? First step, define your variables. So if you look at the question here, how many of each did she buy? That will tell you your variables. So how many books? So we can use B is the number of books, and C is the number of CDs. Our next step is to set up two equations. So she bought a total of 20 used books and CDs. So that means that the number of books plus the number of CDs must equal 20. The next piece of information we're given is the amount. She spent a total of $54.50, but each book costs $1.50 and each CD costs $5. So we can say that 1.5 times B plus 5C is equal to $54.50. Okay, so now we need to solve. So you can use the method of your choice. Because I have variables with the coefficient of 1, I am going to use substitution. Okay, so if I isolate C, so C is going to equal 20 minus B. I plug in that value in for C in the other equation. And then I solve. So distribute the 5. Combine like terms. So 1.5 minus 5 is negative 3.5. Subtract 100 from both sides. And then divide by negative 3.5, and you will get B is equal to 13. So I have the number of books. Now I just need the number of CDs. So if I plug the value of B into this equation, 20 minus 13, well, that's 7. So if you are given a word problem, you have to answer in a complete sentence. So how many of each did she buy? So Marcy bought 7 CDs and 13 books. Our next example, Landon babysits and works part-time at the water park over the summer. 1 week he babysat for 3 hours and worked at the water park for 10 hours and made $109. The next week he babysat for 8 hours and worked at the water park for 12 hours and made $177. How much does Landon make per hour at each job? So first thing, define your variables. Look at the question. So how much does Landon make at each job? Okay, so that is going to be your variables. Okay, So we can say B is the amount per hour for babysitting. And we can say W is the amount per hour for the water park, for working at the water park. Now we set up our two equations. So 1 week he babysat for 3 hours and worked at the water park for 10 hours and made $109. That is one equation right there. So 3 hours of babysitting plus 10 hours at the water park got him $109. We can use the same concept for the second equation. So the next week he babysat for 8 hours. So 8 hours of babysitting plus 12 hours at the water park equals 177. Again, you can use the method of your choice to solve. I'm going to use elimination. So I'm going to eliminate B. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 8 and the bottom equation by -3. I will get 24B plus 80W is equal to 872. The second equation, because I'm multiplying by a negative, negative 24B minus 36W is equal to negative 531. I can add my equations together. Eliminate B. 80 minus 36 is 44. 872 minus 531 is 341. Divide by 44 on both sides, and you will get that W is equal to 7.75. Now that I have W, I need to find B. So I plug this back in to one of the original equations. I'm going to use the first one. So 3B plus 10 times 7.75 is equal to 109. Multiply 7.75 times 10, that is 77.5. Subtract 77.5 from each side. You get 31.5. Divide by 3, and B is equal to 10.5. So again, you have to answer in a complete sentence. So Landon makes $10.50 per hour babysitting, and $7.75 per hour at the water park. Okay, so this is our last example. Kent has a collection of pennies and nickels with a value of $1.98. The number of pennies he has is 5 less than twice the number of nickels. How many of each coin does Kent have? Again, the question will tell you what your variables are. So how many of each coin does Kent have? The number of coins, that is our variables. So we have pennies and nickels. So I'm going to say P is the number of pennies, and N is the number of nickels. So now we need to set up equations. Each penny, that's 1 cent. A nickel is 5 cents. And the total amount is $1.98. So we can say that 0.01 times the number of pennies plus 0.05 times the number of nickels must add up to $1.98. Now, this next piece of information can be a little tricky. The number of pennies he has is 5 less than twice the number of nickels. This "than" is a turnaround word. Okay, So if we have twice the number of nickels, that means that we have 2n. If we have 5 less than, so this is 5 and then minus, but this than switches the order here. So the number of pennies is equal to 2n minus 5. Okay, you might need a calculator for this, but I'm going to solve this using substitution. So p is equal to all of this, so I'm going to substitute it into the other equation. Okay, then I start solving. So I will distribute. And combine like terms. So 0.02n plus 0.05n is 0.07n. Add 0.05 to both sides, and you get 2.03. Divide by 0.07, and you get 29. So he has 29 nickels. Now we need the number of pennies. So we substitute this back in to one of the originals, and the second one just looks easier. So 2 times 29 minus 5 is 53. So you can say that Kent has 53 pennies and 29 nickels.